Welcome to the Top 10 Gardener with Master Gardener Ken Lane. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and top 10 advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, welcome your garden host, Ken Lane.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And things are flying. They're going into bloom like crazy. This week, the lilacs started to open up. There are a lot of different kinds of lilacs, but I thought I would focus this segment on native plants. So a lot of the native, naturally growing plants are starting to come into the garden center. And did you know there's over 4,000 native plants in Arizona? And this where the desert meets the mountains, that's this central part of the state, Central Highlands is what I call it, are some of the most beautiful, stunning types of native plants. Thought I'd just share 8 of my favorites you can buy at the garden center. They're in bloom, they're showing off right now, and they're ready to plant. And they'll take on whatever we throw at them, the nastiest of soil, the windiest of conditions, the bright, sunny, blistering hot. They just thrive. They do well. And so they're the number one. And you folks out in the valley areas, this is Chino Valley, Prescott Valley, Paulden, those areas, bear grass. There's a grass growing out there. It's an evergreen, gets up about, I don't know, chest high or so, maybe almost chest high, above hip high. Bear grass is a very elegant, stiff-tined, just rigid, upright, proud grass. Now, a lot of folks like to think of that as a yucca, but it's not. It has a white flower, sort of like a yucca in the summer, but really it's uniquely a grass of Arizona. It grows wild here. Get it established, get it up to size, and you never have to care for it. Again, it just goes by itself. The only maintenance you do on bear grass, like bears, bear grass is you cut off the flower in midwinter. There's a flower stalk, kind of a white flower. You just cut that off, leave the grass. It stays evergreen. It's wonderful. So it's a great little plant for here. Of course, the number one thought of, I wish I had a different name besides California poppy. I would call it Arizona poppy, but it thinks Arizona is its home. So they're starting to bloom orange right now. So it's a natural wildflower that grows out hillsides, will be covered with California poppy. And you can grow this so easily yourself. You can either chuck seed out there, it will take off. There's a few tricks to making it go right now. Or we have full-on established plants for like containers and raised beds. And plant one up by the driveway, and the seed will spill over top of, down that slope that goes, that you're trying to hold in. California poppies are that tough. And so if you wanted to try seed, the insider tip, so we've got one that's called the California Poppy Mix that we put together. It's got reds and whites and oranges and yellows. It's a whole mixture of California poppies. Okay, there's a lot of different colors of that particular plant. If you're doing seed, a few seed go a long ways. Here's the insider tip, especially right now if you're doing it. Take the seed, take it home, go, I'm going to go plant, get your soil ready, and then throw those seed in the freezer. This seems kind of weird, but California poppies have this real hard outer shell. And so that freeze thaw cycle cracks open the hull so the seed can germinate. You'll get better germination rate. It's a real game changer, especially as we're ending this frosty time of year. We're getting into actual spring, summer season. It's beautiful all the time. So California poppies need that freeze thaw. So throw it in the freezer, leave it there a couple days, bring it back out, do it one more time, and then go plant them, and they will germinate within days, they'll start germinating. But California poppy, you can grow naturally. And once you have one, you're going to have dozens from that point forward. They're just that easy to grow. A true wildflower. One that's a little bit lower elevation, you folks out in Cordes Junction, Verde Valley, Sedona, you're famous for this one, desert marigold. So it's sort of like California poppy, only it has gray foliage instead of green foliage, and it has yellow flowers instead of orange. But desert marigolds are kind of one of those easy to grow, burst of summer color. It's a short plant under knee high. but it just has this bright, cheery, it just screams, I'm summer. Just enjoy me. And butterflies fly all over it. Just a true wildflower for Arizona. Um, Butterflies you're going to have more butterflies. It's a companion plant with California poppies. Poppies bloom in the spring. Desert willows bloom in the summer. So if you want a rotation of things going through there, that's the way to do it. Probably my favorite shrub. That's just easy care. I have a lot of favorites. I like manzanita, but one of my favorite cotoneasters is gray leaf cotoneaster. If you're hiking out in the dells, you're hiking out to just in the hills, hill country, you're going to see this beautiful kind of hip high shrub that's got this gray blue foliage to it. In the spring, it's got a white flower, and then here's the claim to fame: through winter, it's got red berries that cover it. And so the birds are going to love you for that. Again, get it up to size, and then you never have to water, care, trim. It's not mangy looking. It kind of keeps its shape all by itself, doesn't take a lot of pruning. Just super easy care. And the reason cotoneasters are so tough, animals, they got a taste that animals just, they don't like. And so they're not going to be eating on your cotoneasters, any variety, but especially the gray leaf varieties. And then it's got every season's covered. It just shines every spring. It's got flowers. Summer, it's got this berry forming through fall, holds through winter. It's evergreen with gray foliage. It looks really good in these darker colored rock yards. So that lighter colored foliage just really pops. So it's a great, easy one to design with. And then manzanita, I mentioned. There's 3 types of manzanitas we have here at the garden center. So there's a traditional head high called a Howard McMinn. Then you've got a hip high called, what are those? There's 2 of them, Panchito and Chieftain. They're kind of half that size. Sometimes you don't need a huge evergreen shrub right next to the patio. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit shorter one. So Panchito or Chieftain are the 2. They look same thing. They look exactly like a manzanita. Same leaves, same bell-shaped flower, same red bark, but it only gets hip high. And then you've got kinnikinnick or bearberry. It goes by several names, but it's a ground cover manzanita. It only gets ankle high and then spreads like this. Beautiful, spilling over rocks, that kind of stuff. All are evergreen. All are robust, native growers. I don't even know if I'd put these things on a drip irrigation. I'd probably water them by hand because they're so hardy. Manzanita is a great little plant. Be careful if you've got heavy clay soil out in the valley areas. If you got heavy clay, manzanita likes some drainage. You might have to amend the soil or prep it a little bit more than you would other plants because it does not like to be wet. It likes to be dry. Of course, the number one, what we're famous for here in the mountains of Arizona, ponderosa pine. Ponderosas are a native. They're huge. They get 100 feet by a girth on it that you can't put your arms around with a few hundred years. So it's going to take some time. So ponderosa pines are fabulous. Long needled pine, central leader with this main pine trunk. It just gets real big. So if you want that fragrance of just the mountains, ponderosa pines, pinyon pines too. Ponderosa pines are your ticket. And you get that wind that goes to the needles. You can hear this. Oh, it's just wonderful. Just relaxing. Puts you right to sleep. It's therapeutic. Ponderosa pines are a natural here. One that's not native, but it acts like it. It thinks it is. So we kind of put it in that list because it's so tough. It's really a number 1 seller. It's Russian sage. That's the reason they call it Russian sage. A Russian general he was a botanist. He had a campaign in Afghanistan of all places. And when he found new plants, he just went, whoa, that's pretty cool. I'm going to introduce that, take it home and try it. So it grows in the same elevation, dry, arid, extreme temperatures. Russian sage just naturalizes here really well. Blue spiky flowers up about chest high, just all summer through all autumn. It's amazing. One of my favorite native trees, sweet Katy desert willow. Desert willows. Now, desert willows, there's a wild tree that grows out in Dewey, Humboldt, Cordes Junction hillside, Skull Valley. Gets about mid-teens, so 12, 15 feet tall. Has this beautiful bell-shaped flower to it. And the new variety, Sweet Katy, doesn't put bean pods. So it repeat blooms over and over and over all summer long. It's an amazing native tree. We got a lot in store for you this show. Don't go anywhere, but got to take a quick break. Be right back after this.
Water's companion plants for April are purple twist plums, perfume lilacs, columbine, and Arizona gaillardia.
Gaillardia is the perfect mountain perennial with huge fiery flowers on a compact plant.
She loves the heat and super drought hardy.
You can count on this bloomer to show off all summer long in raised beds, containers, or in the garden.
Javelina and rabbit proof. This bloomer is a must-have Arizona plant.
Arizona gaillardia, found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. You're listening to Garden Master Ken Lane, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join his daily podcast for timely garden advice seasonally right for the gardens. Ken can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott or through his website at top10gardener.com.